Most people misunderstand emotional strength. They think it belongs to the loudest person in the room. The one who never cries. The one who always looks confident, unaffected, and in control. But real emotional strength is rarely loud. It is quiet. It is steady. And most of the time, the people who have it do not even recognize it in themselves. Emotional strength is not about avoiding pain. It is about facing pain without letting it define you. It is not about suppressing emotions. It is about understanding them. It is not about pretending to be okay. It is about learning how to move forward even when you are not. If you have ever felt like life forced you to mature quickly, if you have carried responsibilities silently, if you have handled pressure without much support, there is a strong chance that you are emotionally stronger than you realize. Here are 8 signs that you may be stronger than you think. The first sign is that you feel deeply but you respond thoughtfully. Emotionally strong people are not numb. In fact, they often feel emotions more intensely than others. They notice changes in tone. They sense tension in a room. They pick up on small shifts in behavior. But instead of reacting immediately, they pause. They think. They choose their response carefully. You may feel anger but you do not explode. You may feel sadness but you still fulfill your responsibilities. You may feel anxiety but you take action anyway. That space between feeling and reacting is strength. It shows self-control. It shows awareness. It shows growth. The second sign is that you have survived things that could have broken you. Maybe you experienced rejection that shook your confidence. Maybe you went through financial stress that forced you to become resourceful. Maybe you faced betrayal, heartbreak, or instability at home. At the time, you probably felt overwhelmed. You may have doubted yourself. You may have questioned your worth. But you did not disappear. You adapted. Resilience is often built in difficult environments. When life is unpredictable, your mind learns to adjust. You develop coping mechanisms. You learn how to read situations quickly. You become observant. Over time, these skills turn into emotional endurance. You might not see it because it feels normal to you. But surviving what you survived and still wanting to grow is strength. The third sign is that you are comfortable being alone. Many people avoid solitude because silence forces them to confront their thoughts. Being alone removes distractions. It reveals insecurities and unresolved emotions. Emotionally strong individuals do not depend on constant validation. They enjoy connection, but they are not desperate for it. They can sit with their thoughts. They can reflect on their actions. They can evaluate their mistakes without collapsing under shame. If you have ever chosen peace over popularity, if you have walked away from toxic environments even when it meant standing alone, that is emotional courage. The fourth sign is that you set boundaries even when it feels uncomfortable. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about protecting your well-being. Many people tolerate disrespect because they fear rejection. They remain in draining situations because they fear being alone. But emotional strength means recognizing when something is harming you and choosing to address it. You may still feel guilty after saying no. You may still struggle with confrontation. But if you are learning to protect your energy and speak up when something feels wrong, you are building emotional authority over your life. The fifth sign is that you take responsibility for your growth. Emotionally strong people understand that while they cannot control everything that happens to them, they can control how they respond. This does not mean you blame yourself for everything. It means you reflect. When conflict happens, you do not only ask what the other person did wrong. You also ask what you can improve. You look at your patterns. You question your reactions. That level of self-awareness is rare. It requires humility. It requires courage. And it is a clear sign of emotional maturity. The sixth sign is that you remain kind even after being hurt. This does not mean you allow people to mistreat you repeatedly. It means you refuse to let pain transform you into someone bitter. It is easy to build walls after betrayal. It is easy to decide that caring is dangerous. But emotionally strong individuals build filters instead of walls. They learn. They adjust. They protect themselves more wisely. But they do not shut down their ability to care. Choosing kindness after pain is not weakness. It is control. It is strength. The seventh sign is that you adapt when things do not go as planned. Life rarely follows a straight path. Goals shift. People change. Opportunities disappear. Emotionally strong individuals allow themselves to feel disappointment, but they do not stay stuck there. They recalibrate. They look for alternatives. They rebuild. Adaptability is not about giving up. It is about understanding that flexibility is often more powerful than resistance. If you have repeatedly adjusted your plans and kept moving forward despite setbacks, that is resilience in action. The eighth sign is that you have empathy without losing yourself. If people often come to you for advice, it means they feel safe around you. You can listen without immediately judging. You can understand different perspectives. You can hold space for others' emotions. But true emotional strength also means recognizing your limits. It means knowing when you need rest. It means understanding that you cannot fix everyone. Balancing empathy with self-protection is advanced emotional maturity. Here is something important to remember. Emotional strength does not always feel empowering. Sometimes it feels exhausting. Sometimes it feels like you had no choice but to become strong. Sometimes it feels unfair that you had to develop coping skills earlier than others. But strength built through necessity is still strength. You may downplay your growth because it feels normal to you. Handling chaos may feel ordinary because you are used to it. Staying calm under pressure may feel expected because you have done it for years. But what feels normal to you might overwhelm someone else. There were moments when you wanted to quit. Moments when you doubted your abilities. Moments when you felt unsupported. Yet you continued. Not perfectly. Not without mistakes. But you continued. Emotional strength is persistence. It is waking up and trying again even when yesterday was heavy. It is apologizing when you realize you were wrong. It is forgiving yourself for past decisions instead of living in constant regret. It is allowing yourself to grow beyond the version of you that existed during your hardest season. You may not feel strong because you still have fears. You still have insecurities. You still question yourself. But strength is not the absence of vulnerability. It is the willingness to face vulnerability without running from it. If you can look at your past without denying it, if you can acknowledge your flaws without collapsing under shame, if you can reflect on your struggles and still believe in your future, that is emotional endurance. Another subtle sign of emotional strength is that you no longer chase people who repeatedly show you they do not value you. You may feel hurt when someone distances themselves. You may feel confused, but you do not beg endlessly for validation. You understand that your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. That understanding usually comes from experience, from disappointment, from realizing that attachment without reciprocity is draining. If you have reached a point where you would rather walk alone than force yourself into spaces where you are not respected, you are stronger than you think. Emotional strength also shows up in your ability to sit with uncomfortable truths. Many people avoid examining their habits. They avoid confronting patterns that keep repeating. They distract themselves to avoid self-reflection. But if you are willing to look inward honestly, even when it is uncomfortable, you are operating from a stable foundation. Growth requires self-confrontation. And if you can admit when you are wrong and choose to improve, that is maturity. Perhaps the most overlooked sign of emotional strength is that you still have hope. After everything you have experienced, you still believe things can improve. You still set goals. You still form connections. You still invest effort into building something better. Hope after hardship is resilience. Some people become permanently cynical after pain. They decide the world is entirely unsafe and close themselves off completely. But if you have managed to protect yourself while still believing in possibility, you have found balance. Emotional strength is not loud confidence. It is quiet self-trust. It is knowing that even if life becomes difficult again, you will find a way through. It is knowing that even if someone leaves, you will survive the emptiness. It is knowing that even if fear appears, you are capable of acting anyway. Pause for a moment and consider everything you have already handled. Consider the conversations you navigated calmly. Consider the pain you processed privately instead of projecting it onto others. Consider the times you rebuilt after disruption. All of that is strength in motion. You are not strong because you never struggled. You are strong because you struggled and continued. You are strong because you chose growth over bitterness more times than you realize. You are strong because you are still learning, still reflecting, still trying. Emotional strength is not about being unbreakable. It is about being reparable. It is about bending without snapping. It is about understanding that setbacks are chapters, not conclusions. If you recognize yourself in even a few of these signs, do not dismiss it. Give yourself credit. Acknowledge how far you have come. You may still be healing. You may still be growing. But the fact that you are aware, adapting, and moving forward is evidence enough. You are stronger